I've had the time of my life tonight. This is the greatest show that it's ever been put on. And I'm And the winner is Terms of Endearment.
Welcome back to The Better Half. I'm Bradley J. Halverson, and here with me, she won't make wretched my life. It's Carly Corio. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Bradley. I just wish I knew how much time you put into thinking on what these intros are going to be. But I love it.
Well, I do want to ask you, are you liking that? I've been mixing it up these last few episodes.
No, I like it. I would say I like the term of endearment of me being your better half. So that always feels good to hear. But I do like the mix-up.
It would kind of ring false to use the term endearment for this movie, Terms of Endearment, where there were actually no terms of endearment in this movie at all, I feel like.
What a play on words.
So if you haven't guessed yet, we're here to talk about Terms of Endearment, the 1983 family drama directed by James L. Brooks, and it won Best Picture at the 56th Academy Awards, which took place on April 9th, 1984. Carly, what the heck is this movie about?
This movie explores the complex, often turbulent relationship over 3 decades between Aurora Greenway, a widowed overprotective mother, and her daughter, Emma Greenway Horton.
Ooh.
Fun. Sounds fun.
Love the hyphenated last name, Greenway Horton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, Terms of Endearment is a movie title I have certainly heard.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is a decade before you and I were born, Carly's. But I told you, I was like, I know Friends makes a reference to Terms of Endearment at some point. And without spoiling the movie we're about to spoil, the particular scene in Friends is when Monica is giving a speech at her parents' wedding anniversary, and she's trying to make the whole room cry. So she brings up a reference to Terms of Endearment. So in my head, I was like, oh, okay, so we're in for another lighthearted, fun family.
Yeah, we finally get a film where it's very obvious there's 2 leading ladies, but we knew we were going to be hit in the face with some emotion. Yeah,
Carly and I did watch this one together, and I think we kept making comments throughout the whole movie. They're like, okay, but when's it gonna happen? Which woman is it gonna happen to?
And we had no idea what was gonna be the sad part. We did not know.
No, but we knew something would happen.
Yeah.
Of course, we start right away with one of our leading ladies, Aurora, played by Shirley MacLaine. We are completing the Shirley MacLaine trilogy here. I did look up her filmography. I do believe this is the last Best Picture winner that she stars in. So it's kind of crazy that within the first 10 episodes of our podcast, we hit all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And we did it in chronological order. So
we couldn't have done it any better.
No, yeah. And I would love to, I can't wait to talk about her more in depth after the recap of just what do we think about Shirley across all 3 of these movies? But where we see her first, she's heading into her baby's room. It's nighttime. And she's calling to her partner, whose name I think is Rudyard. And she's like, Rudd, it's happened. She's dead. We just see a crib. We know there's a baby in there. And she's like, she's dead. I know it. And the husband's like, no, she's not. And she literally tries to climb into the crib. I don't think she gets in, right?
I think she gets a foot in. She's halfway in and shakes the baby to make her cry.
Yep. And little baby Emma here just starts wailing because she's not dead. And so we immediately are getting a glimpse into Shirley MacLaine's character of being overly worried.
Well, and immediately after Emma cries, she said, oh my gosh, that's better. And then she leaves. Yeah. She leaves the nursery. Leaves this baby crying, was peacefully asleep, and she's like, oh my God, that's better. So I think in this literal 30-second scene to open the movie, you get the sense of okay, she's overprotective, she's a little selfish, and for her to be at peace, her daughter has to be uncomfortable, and I think that really sets a tone for the entire film.
When I say Carly and I were on pins and needles about something sad happening in this movie, and then for it to immediately start with she's dead, the baby's dead, we were like, oh my God,
did not
we can't do this. Yeah. And this movie really starts jumping forward in time a lot. They don't give you any sort of title cards to tell you 8 years later or anything like that. They just plop you in the next scene, and we're in the future because now we see Emma as a little girl and somebody has died, but it's her dad. So we see that she's at a funeral. There's people sort of giving little girl Emma here some comfort, but she's lost one of her parents at a very young age. And Aurora here is obviously heartbroken, and we're going to see in the next time jump that really she kind of swears off men from that moment on. Like she loses her husband, and she really holds all other men. And she actually has a lot of men interested in her, but she kind of holds them all arm's length away. She's not letting anybody in, and it really has just been like her and her daughter. And so at our next time jump, I believe Emma's like teenager-esque, high school-esque, but her and her friend Patsy are out on the lawn. They're watching a new neighbor move in. We're going to learn that this is Jack Nicholson's character. He is a retired astronaut. His name is Garrett Breedlove, which I don't love. And Emma here, she was like, oh, well, Patsy, come say bye to my mom. And Patsy's like, I don't want to say goodbye to your mom.
I don't want to.
And Emma's like, God, I wish I had a mom people liked.
Yes.
So now we're getting a sense of like, oh, okay, maybe not everything is this like loving mother-daughter relationship. So then we jump ahead. And now I want to say like Emma is maybe like 21 years old and she's trying on a wedding dress. She's at her mom's house. She's still with Patsy. They're both like in the room, like smoking weed, giggling, trying on a wedding dress. But obviously this is the night before Emma's wedding. She's getting married. And Emma is like clearly very excited. She's very happy about this. And again, they're smoking weed. And here comes Shirley MacLaine to knock on the door. And they quickly, switch to cigarettes. And they're like, oh, don't come in here. And Shirley MacLaine's like, well, I need to talk to you. So Emma goes to her mom's room. And her mom's like, hey, would you want me to be quiet about something that would possibly bring you a little bit of pain? And Emma's like, no. And she runs out of the room. Closes the door. And Shirley MacLaine's very perplexed by this. But Emma's like, she's goofing off here. She comes right back in. She's like, okay, mother, tell me what you want to tell me. So Shirley MacLaine sits her down. She's like, well, I've just been in this room all day long thinking about what to get you for a wedding gift. And then it just kind of hit me that I don't think you should get married tomorrow. Her exact quote is, I think it will cripple your destiny and make wretched your life.
Exactly. She also said, you are not special enough to overcome a bad marriage.
Brutal. Brutal. I mean, like, the night before the wedding, for one thing, she didn't even know, like, what she was getting her daughter as a gift. And
this is the best she could come up with.
You would think that this whole movie, right? Any other movie about a mother and daughter, I think would have hinged on this particular sticking point. And you could see that Emma is hurt to hear this, and she's disappointed, but I think Emma's played by Deborah Winger here. Something that she does really well on her face is, and I see this throughout the whole movie, she shows disappointment in hearing what her mom is saying. There's also kind of like a look of understanding on her face as well. It's sort of like, I don't like what you're telling me, but I understand my mom and who she is as a person. And like, I still love her. Like, you would think at any moment, this mother and daughter, who often just yell and bicker at each other, but they actually don't. You see them continue to maintain a relationship. So I think that's just something that will be reoccurring. But Emma, she is still disappointed though. So she's like, well, I don't even think I want you to come to the wedding then. And Shirley MacLaine's like, I kind of agree. I'm not going.
Cool with me.
Yeah, the movie apparently didn't want us to care about the wedding either because we completely skip over it. And we go pretty much the next day and we're basically seeing Emma and the man she married, Flap Horton, played by Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber fame. Okay. And like Flap, like this is not a glamorous house. Like from the outside, it looks a little rough. Again, Emma and Flap are super, super excited to have gotten married. You don't get a sense at all that Emma is like mad at her mother. And even the next morning, Emma gets a phone call and it's her mother. And they're talking on the phone as if like nothing happened, as if her mom didn't just disagree with this whole marriage and didn't come to the wedding. And again, you would think like they would hate each other. Like she would just ignore the phone call, but she picks it up and she tries to get Flap to even talk to Aurora. And he's very much not, like, he's like non-verbally telling her, like, no. We learn here too that truly, like, Shirley MacLaine and Flap here, they hate each other. They hate each other for the entire movie. There is simmering tension throughout the whole film. So
they have one thing in common, and it's Emma. And I think they never connect ever.
No, and I mean, I can't blame Flap necessarily because, and I wish the movie had showed us maybe the first time that Shirley MacLaine meets Flap.
Oh, yeah.
And I can just imagine the immediate disdain on her face. So that is pretty much the dynamic. And we do this movie really, it equally shows us Emma's story and it equally shows us Aurora's story as well. We're constantly kind of cutting back and forth. They're not often in scenes together, but they do take these phone calls a lot. But when we do cut to Aurora's life here, she's got a group of friends. She's having them over for dinner. Lady friend Rosie, I think her like priest is there. There's the guy that hits on her. And then randomly Danny DeVito's there. And I'm not going to talk about Danny DeVito a whole lot. His name is Vernon, his character. I either was like not listening to the movie during maybe the 2 sentences that explained why he was there, but I genuinely don't understand who his character was, why he was there. All I know is he's very into Shirley MacLaine. Like, he's like head over heels in love with her. But I get the sense that like they're not like long-term friends. Like he just like showed up.
Well, and it's weird because Danny DeVito is billed 4th in this film. In the movie, the opening credits, Shirley MacLaine, Deborah Winger, Jack Nicholson, who's a big part, and then Danny DeVito. So I think even Brad and I are like, oh, cool, Danny DeVito's going to be in this movie. And he was, and we have no clue why.
Yeah, he's in 2 scenes. They both take place at the dinner table in Aurora's home. And I imagine they were both filmed like back to back. But Emma and Flap are at this dinner as well. Some time has passed since the wedding, but they're at the dinner. And this is where Emma drops the big news to Aurora. She's like, hey, I'm pregnant.
She says, I'm unofficially pregnant.
Yeah.
And then Shirley MacLaine looks at her like, what? And she's like, I'm late. And she's so giddy and excited. And I think between her unofficially pregnant and the fact that Shirley MacLaine can't stand Flap, she just looks at her out of such annoyance. Yeah,
no, our socials are just going to be filled with the facial expressions of Shirley MacLaine in this movie. They're very good. And she does not hide anything on her face. So she's like mad. And Emma's like, won't you be happy for me? You're going to be a grandma. And she's like, does it look like I want to be a grandma?
Yeah, exactly.
She is pissed.
I wrote narcissist. Like even this exciting thing, she makes all about her. And I think. And
her feelings.
Yes, and her feelings. Yeah. And that really is a big theme in the movie.
So she's so upset. She gets up from the dinner table and she walks outside. And we get like, she observes this thing happening in her neighbor's yard where Jack Nicholson is arriving home, but he's very drunk and he's with like 2 younger ladies. First he falls out of the car, hits his head on the like pavement. So he's like bleeding from his forehead. And he's looking at these 2 girls and he's trying to coax them to like, come inside, let's have some fun. And these girls are like, actually, no, like, you're gross, you're disgusting, get cleaned up. So we're getting a sense too of like Jack Nicholson's character, he's a little bit of a playboy here. He is
messy.
He's rocking the dad bod. He's messy. He's drunk, trying to sleep with younger women. And him and Aurora don't even exchange a look here or any kind of words, but she just observes all of this. And these are some, I think, character cues for us.
And at this point, you think back to when Jack Nicholson was moving in. Emma was a teenager. And so they've lived next to each other, you assume, for 5 to 10 years, somewhere in there. So it's like, to see that they really don't have a relationship is interesting.
Well, I do think it's reflective of just Aurora's, like, intentional isolation. Like, I really, like, somehow she allows, like, Danny DeVito in her house, but, like, she otherwise seems to have a very intentional, close group of friends. And even them, she kind of treats a little coldly as well.
Yeah.
But we jump forward in time. We learn that Flap is like an English professor or works in academia, but he gets a job offer in Des Moines, Iowa. And so, at this point, Emma has given birth to that baby. His name is Tommy, and he's like 5 years old. I will say Tommy is cute here. Okay, I'll give him that small credit right now. Okay, but I'm not a big Tommy fan, and we'll get to it. And so Emma is agreeing to move to Iowa with Flap for Flap's career. I don't believe Emma, we never see her talk about work or career. I do believe she is just a stay-at-home mom, and that is what she is doing. And so, again, true to Aurora and Shirley MacLaine's character here, like, she's not happy about this, but she's letting them go. Like, she can't really stop them. And they're all out in the driveway, the car's packed and everything. There's a funny moment where Aurora, like, leans down to the car window where the little Tommy's sitting, and she's like, okay, bye, Tommy, you be good. And he's like, bye, Mrs. Greenway. And not grandma. And I think that's a very clever, subtle way of the movie telling us, like, she put her foot down about, like, never being called grandma. Like, you just know that conversation happened.
Well, and when she's hugging Emma goodbye, she hugs her and she's like, get yourself a decent attorney. That was like her parting words to Emma.
Still has no faith at all. And again, Deborah Winger, like, again, she just carries that facial expression of mixture of, like, I don't like what you're saying, but I love you anyways, kind of. And she gets in the car and she's kind of emotional. Her friend Patsy's there. Some other people are here to say goodbye. She tells Flap, who's in the driver's seat, she's like, oh, peel away slowly, like, drive off slowly. And all of a sudden we hear just the sound of rubber hitting the road, Tokyo drifting. And so they head to Iowa. Tommy's like asking a lot of annoying ass questions from the back seat about where they're going, yada, yada, yada. And when they arrive to Iowa and arrive to the house that they're in, Tommy's like in the front seat. You know, I don't know what it's like to be a parent in the 80s, but it seemed a little loosey-goosey because Tommy, I swear to God, was not in a car seat, just in the front of the car, front facing, and he's got to be like 3 years old, maybe 4.
Yeah, how any of us survived before the 2000s when car seats became basically padded rooms beats me.
And something we haven't mentioned yet, but is clear when you're watching the movie, but Emma's pregnant again during this whole thing. Baby number 2 is already on the way as they move off to Iowa. But we cut back to Aurora. She's like in her backyard. She's in this beautiful like landscape garden. You could tell she puts in a lot of work. She has a conversation with Garrett, you know, we see for the first time here at the fence line.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson. Yep. So this is the first scene of the two of them talking to one another. And Jack Nicholson's like, hey, I got this like dinner thing in DC. You know, they're honoring astronauts. And I'm wondering if you would come with me to the dinner. And true to Shirley MacLaine, she's like, she's kind of entertaining it a little bit. There's like some fun, witty banter back and forth. They both have very similar, I wouldn't say similar communication styles because he's a little bit more lewd and crude and she's a little bit more prim and proper. But the sarcasm and the biting sort of language, like they both hold their ground. And he nearly gets her to agree, but then he has this kind of like gross moment where he's like, come to dinner with me. And he kind of like opens his shirt up and like touches, like rubs his chest a little bit, which I was very into.
Did you like that?
I was like, that would have worked on, I think I said to you, I was like, this would work on me. I would have so gone to the dinner. But not for Shirley MacLaine. She's like, ew. And she like runs back inside. So
you like that, you sick son of a bitch? No, it was hot. It was hot.
Yeah, you're going to see it on the socials, but I was into Jack Nicholson, I will say. So we cut back to Emma's life in Iowa. Time has now jumped forward again, where I think Tommy's now maybe like 10 years old. And baby number 2, who is Teddy, he's maybe like 5-ish years old. I honestly think they used the same actor who played young Tommy to play young Teddy. I don't have that confirmed.
It is. I debunked that thought when I was doing research, but I thought the same thing.
I was like, oh yeah, just reuse the same little boy actor. Easy. Like, why not? Like, they're playing brothers.
Also, I in my notes, I put another boy frown.
Yes.
Yeah. I really wanted them to have a girl, but they got another boy, which I'm sure is my future as someone who would love to be a girl mom.
I know one of the core tenet things that I know about Carly is her worst nightmare is being a mom to like 3 or 4 boys.
It's bound to happen. Should I ever be blessed with children? They will be male children. I know it, even though I'd be such a good girl mom. So
we see Tommy and Teddy here, and this is where like Tommy starts to turn into a little asshole, okay? He's, like, not nice to his little brother. But we cut away from that because what we're really learning here is Emma and Flap are starting to have some financial issues going on. Of course, he works in academia, and, you know, as Carly and I both come from higher education, we know what those kind of salaries look like.
Not big. Also, when they pulled up to their Des Moines house, it was it was not a great house.
Yeah.
When Brad and I were talking about emojis for this movie, this rating, I did send him the like boarded up, broken down home emoji as an idea, but we did not go with that. But yeah, you can tell they don't have a lot of money. And it definitely, she brings it to the audience and to her mother in this phone call. Yeah.
So we do see Emma and her mom on the phone again, and she's like biting her tongue on this, but eventually she's like, I really hate to do this, but I need some money. And Shirley MacLaine's like, well. You need some money. And Emma's like, oh, don't do that to me. You know how painful this is for me to do this. But to Emma's credit here, to Aurora's credit, I should say, she doesn't completely shut it down. You can tell like she's not interested in giving the money, but she even references this like famous painting that she has in her bedroom, the Renoir, that she could potentially sell for some money. And it's interesting. So Aurora, you would expect her not to do it, but she's talking about possibly doing it. But Emma actually turns and she's like, no, never mind. We'll make it work. Don't worry about it.
Well, and Emma brings up in this phone call, she's like, I might be pregnant again. And to that, Shirley MacLaine says, ugh, no.
Yeah.
So
she's like, are you keeping it?
Yeah, it was very like, are you kidding me?
So Aurora ends up not giving the money. Like Emma doesn't end up going down this route, but these financial strains are definitely impacting Emma's marriage to Flap. They're having arguments about it, but Flap is also spending a lot of time alone at the library. You know, such a hardworking man. And so Emma does kind of confront Flap a little bit of like, hey, if you are cheating on me, just tell me. Just tell me. Because I already think it. I already feel like it's true.
I'm on to
was
you.
like, me, a cheater? Like, no way. Your mother couldn't possibly be right about this marriage. Like, no way.
I fell asleep on that big couch at the library again.
Okay, so then we go to this scene at the grocery store. So Emma takes her two kids. Everything's already up at the cash register. This very young cash register woman who hates her life, I think, so completely. Like, she's sort of like open mouth chewing gum, rolling her eyes during this whole exchange. And Emma realizes, like, oh, I don't have enough money to pay for this. So she's realizing, like, oh, I gotta put some things back. And little asshole Tommy's like, what? You don't have enough money? There's a line of people behind them, of course, waiting to check out as well. And so Emma starts putting some things back, but then little asshole Tommy is also like, but you promised I could get a treat.
A chocolate.
So then she adds like a Snickers bar and she adds like another candy. And this cash register lady is like, we're going in the opposite direction, okay? And she gets on the intercom. I don't even know why, but she literally screams, she has no money.
Wait, she does? She does that? I don't know how I missed that. Wait, she announces to the whole store that this woman has no money. That's unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah, they needed like a price check on something. And she was like, we need a price check. She has no money. Emma's like, hey, you don't have to be like this. Like, this is kind of rude for you. But emerging from the line, we see John Lithgow is there. And actually clocked his ass before he even stepped up front. He approaches and he's like, hey, Emma, it's me, Sam from the bank. Remember I, like, rejected you on on a loan? And she's like, oh, hi, yay, hi. And he was like, I can help pay the difference. So he kind of swoops in, helps her out here. And they go out into the parking lot. And again, Tommy's being a little fuck. And Emma is literally like, get in the car! Go, get! And Sam's like, wow, you got your hands full. And she's like, uh-huh. But there is, like, I guess some chemistry here between Lord Farquaad and Emma. And a little bit of a budding friendship here. Maybe more. We'll see. But we do get established with this character here. And during this time, too, forgot to mention, but the third baby's here. And it is a little girl this time. Woo! Carly, were you pleased?
I was overjoyed. Little girl named Melanie.
We've established already I'm not a big child actor fan, but I will say, like, Melanie was probably my favorite of the three.
The kids are a really cute part of this movie.
Okay, not Tommy, though.
Okay, well, yes.
Okay, so then we cut back to Aurora. She's having another sort of dinner night with her friends, and Danny DeVito is there.
Well, it's
again.
her
birthday,
right? And it's like her 50th birthday. And her doctor's there and was like, wait, you're 52. And she's very much like, no, I'm not.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, it's like, again, just shows her character perfectly.
Well, in defiance of this, because she hates to hear anything that she doesn't want to hear, she again leaves the dinner table and she goes outside. But she's on a mission this time. But she heads over to Jack Nicholson's house and he shows up and he's just wearing like a robe and it's very like open. And I was also very into this. It was the perfect way, I think, to appear.
Yeah, I wrote nice chest hair again.
Yeah. And Aurora, she like sees this and she's like, oh God. But she's on a mission. I think she's trying to, I guess she didn't like being told that she was 52. She's like, I'm going to go and do something rebellious. I'm going to live life, I think, in this moment.
Like, look at me. I can do this. I can get whoever I want. I'm still at that age. Right. I can go do this.
Yes. And so she does ask him out on a lunch date and he's a little perplexed, but he's like, okay, see you tomorrow. So then they go on this lunch date. And again, you know, Jack Nicholson's character, Garrett, he's a retired astronaut. So he clearly has some money. But he's got a nice little like luxury sports car, whatever. But he's driving them to their date. But it's one of those vehicles where like the top can come off. And they're going along the coastline. And he's speeding and he doesn't have the top on to the car at all. So she's like, hey! She's trying to put like a shawl on. She's trying to like save her hair.
Well, he said he was like, do you want me to put the top up? And she's like, oh no. Grown women are prepared for life's little emergencies. And then she puts this little scarf over her hair and they cut to them moving in the car and her hair is going everywhere. And she's like trying to keep this scarf on. It's just a funny thing.
And as soon as they get to the restaurant, she's like, I'm going to the bathroom. And she literally like goes in there to like look at a mirror.
Fix her hair.
And she goes back out to the table and they're seated next to a table that also has like this young pretty woman, and Garrett like can't help himself. He like takes a peek over there and Aurora is like, that's very rude of you. She's like, you're on a date.
Yeah.
And his response is like, we need to get drunk. And she's like, why? He's like, we need to kill that bug up your ass. Yeah. And then we do cut back to Emma. We get the sense that some time has passed, but her and Sam here, Sam from the bank, John Lithgow, Lord Farquaad, you get the sense that they've been meeting up more and more, but they meet up like at a diner, and they are talking about their respective marriages. We know that Sam is married, and they're kind of actually talking openly about whether or not do they proceed forth? Do they cross the line? Do they have an affair? And we learn a little bit about Sam's marriage and why it's not satisfying for him. But he was like, you know, my wife won't have sex with me because she can't bear any weight on her at all.
She has disc problems in her back.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's important.
And then,
context.
So Brad said before the movie, why can't she be on top? And then Emma in the movie says, well, have you ever tried her on top? And he's like, yeah, she won't do that either.
So now we know the crux of their marriage problems, but they kind of agree. They're like, hey, like maybe we're going to do this. And Sam's like, well, I know this place, this abandoned home. Let's go there. And we cut back to Garrett and Aurora, and they're driving back. This was wild. Garrett is driving the car with his feet. I don't know how he's doing this, but he's like standing.
They're on a beach.
They're on a beach.
Basically donuts. Like his butt is on the top of the seat, the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And his feet are on the steering wheel driving and just screaming and loving life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Aurora, like, she hates this. Like, the car's spinning in all directions. And she finally, like, leans over and, like, hits the brake in such an abrupt way that Jack Nicholson flies over the car and lands in the water. So she's like, oh, my God. And she gets out. And she has this very strange, like, walk towards him in the water. Like, her arms are outstretched. But she's taking, like...
We both laughed out loud at this for some reason. It was just the way she was walking.
And she gets to him, and she's like, this is why, like, you shouldn't be drunk like this. And he's like, well, I'm sober now. And they start making out in the water. It's like, ah, Aurora's first kiss in probably, like, 30 years. But then it's, like, ruined because then Garrett, like, goes to, like, feel her boob. And then, like, somehow his hand gets stuck there. I couldn't tell if he was, like, pretending
I think he was
or if his hand...
because she, like, looks down, and he's like, sorry, it's stuck.
Oh, it's stuck. And she's like, get off of me! So the sweet moment quickly turns to their regular dynamic, and they drive back home, and they get out of the car, and Aurora was like, you know, do you want to come in? And he was like, I'd rather stick needles in my eyes. Like, very, like, Gabby Windy being like, I'd rather gouge my eyes out with a dull chopstick. And she's like, why do you gotta be like this? Why do you gotta act like this? Why do you gotta say these things? And he was like, you do bring out the devil in me. Nothing happens there. They leave it there, but we do cut back to Emma and Sam, who arrive at this abandoned house, and they start making out there. And so Emma officially has her little, her tryst, if you will.
Her tryst. Back on that word.
And she later has a phone call, Emma does, with Aurora, where, well, first of all, she's on the phone with Sam, and sometime later has passed. She's on the phone with Sam, but an operator cuts in, they're like, hey, it's an emergency phone call from Aurora. And Sam's like, oh my God, like, it's your mother. I hope she's okay. And she's like, yeah, she does this when I don't pick up. Switches over the line, and...
No emergency. There's no emergency.
No emergency, yeah. And so they have a conversation. It's clear that Emma knows about Garrett. She knows about the situation. In a move that, like, I would never do with my mother, like, Emma's like, you should get some. Go after it again. Have sex. You haven't done it in years. And Aurora's like, I gotta go. Bye. Hangs up. But later that night, Aurora's, like, up in her room. She hears, like, the splash of a pool, and she looks out into, you know, Garrett's backyard, and he is swimming laps. And Aurora, she's liking this. So she calls up Garrett, and she's like, hey, you know, I was wondering if you wanted to see my Renoir. She's like, have you ever seen my Renoir? She's like, my Renoir is yes, it's in my bedroom. Okay. I'm asking if you want to come see my Renoir in my bedroom. She's like, you ring the doorbell, and if I don't answer the door, my back door's open. And he's like, your back door is open.
Yeah.
So she puts on this, like, what I think she thinks is a, like, sexy little nightgown, but it's just this, like, very, like, grandma-esque floral, like, pajama that she puts on. And we do hear him ring the doorbell, and she's like, oh my God, he's here. He actually rang the doorbell. And she does not go to the door and address him, like, lets him come in through the back door. and go up the stairs, and then he's suddenly in her bedroom, and she's like, here's my Renoir, and it's like this painting. He's like, nice. He's like, I like everything in this room. She's like, okay, fine, let's just do this. And she goes to turn the lights off, and he's like, wait, I like the lights on. She's like, well, you can go home and turn the lights on then. He's like, okay. He also had this line too. He was like, I was just doing laps. He's like, you're lucky I only did 8 laps in the pool.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
He's also now a swimmer, an astronaut and a swimmer.
Yeah. I don't know if he's implying that like he wouldn't have the stamina or the energy if he did any more laps. But the big news, the big headline here, Aurora and Garrett, they do it. She lets a man in more ways than one. And we do cut back to Emma and Flap, and the kids are waking them both up, and they're like, Melanie's sick. Melanie, who, again, is the youngest, is like a toddler. She has like the whooping cough.
She's so cute, though.
Yeah, and this is causing just more tension between Emma and Flap.
Yeah, and...
Yeah. And moving on. And so Emma is like triaging using like shower steam or whatever. And Flap is like dropping some news that like, oh, like there might be a job for me out in Nebraska. Like what do we think about moving to Nebraska? And Emma really shoots that down. She's like, no, like we have a life here and we've already moved once and I'm not going to move again. And he's like, oh, okay. And the next day, like Emma goes to the university to where Flap works and she sees Flap talking to a young woman, a student probably. And so she goes into spy mode. She immediately ducks down into the bushes and crouches down to overhear their conversation. And we just see Flap's like back. And then we see clearly the woman that he's talking to. And they are definitely like flirting. Like they're definitely referencing like, oh, what if we meet up later? Yada, yada, yada.
She's kind of like touching him a little bit. Like you could tell the body language. And then the little we can hear, definitely not cool.
Yeah. And it's a really funny moment where Emma like reveals herself. She's like, hey, bitch. And Flap whips around, and what you didn't realize the whole time was he had baby Melanie with him, like, attached to the front of him, until he whips around, and this baby, like, nearly flies off of him.
You're right. We were like, wait, what? He has this baby?
What?
Yes.
Emma's causing a huge scene. This is really funny, too. Like, all the students are out there, you know, going from class to class, and they just see this, like, big domestic moment happening in the middle of the quad. And she's like, give me the baby. Carly, I think you clocked this. I didn't hear it, but one of the students off screen was like, hey, Flap, I want to talk to you about my grade.
Mr. Horton, can we talk about my grade? It was like mid-fight with his wife.
Yeah.
And we've worked on college campuses, and that's totally realistic. Yes. 100%.
So true. Right. You could, having a full-on meltdown, and a student will somehow be like,
hey, can you help me, though?
Hey, can I switch rooms? I don't like my roommate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh my God.
I feel unsafe.
So Emma finally gets evidence that Flap truly was cheating on her. Never the mind that she's also been seeing John Lithgow and having her own little thing. But she grabs the baby from him and grabs Tommy and Teddy, and she just drives straight back to Texas, back to her mom's house.
I'm taking the kids and I'm going to Houston. And she does.
Yep. She spends some time here. When she arrives, Garrett is initially out there with Aurora. When the car arrives with all the kids and everything. And Aurora's so happy to see Emma again. Like, big embrace. She's so happy to see the kids. Like, she's so happy. And she's like, Garrett, come over here. And it's another funny moment where it's very like Homer Simpson-esque, backing away into the trees. Where Garrett's like, oh, I got this thing, I gotta go, and like books it to his house.
And he actually backs up. Like he walks backwards almost the whole way home.
Yes. So we see here, like, he still can't shake this sort of like fear of commitment, because he also kind of holds people at arm's length, similar to Aurora. But I think seeing her whole family here really freaked him out. So he kind of dips out.
When she pulls up, and again, like you said, very warm welcome. Emma says, oh my gosh. She says, Mom, you look great. And Aurora says, well, you look terrible.
Yeah.
And then again, like you said, with that same like, okay, look that she gives her, like, you're annoying, but I love you. And it kind of makes you think about terms of endearment and, you know, this running that it could look very different to a lot of people. So definitely their own way of endearing each other.
And Emma, she spends the time that she needs to here in Texas, and she, you know, has good conversations with her mom. That relationship is reinforced. But Flap, you know, keeps calling the house, keep trying to talk to Emma, wants to make it right. He's also making it clear that he accepted that job in Nebraska. And so I thought when she took the kids and went to Texas, like she was like leaving Flap. Like I wasn't really imagining a world where she was like going to head back, but she hears that he's accepted this job in Nebraska. And so she literally packs up the kids again to go back to Iowa so that they could move to Nebraska. So I'm not really sure what Emma's motivations are here, but she does, or maybe she just needed time and space away, but she was never intending to like divorce Flap or to truly separate from him. And I do wonder if maybe for her, she doesn't spell this out in the movie, but perhaps she doesn't want her mother to be right, right? If her marriage is failing, she can't let it fail because that only proves her mother's point the whole time. So she does. She goes to Iowa. They pack up their house to move to Nebraska. And meanwhile, Garrett comes back over once the family's all gone, and he breaks it off with Shirley MacLaine.
He says, I'm not the right kind of man.
Yeah.
And Shirley MacLaine says, you have no idea how much you're going to miss me. So I liked both of those lines because it definitely prays true to their relationship and both of their kind of narcissistic energies.
Yeah.
And it really shows Garrett. I think even as viewers, we see Garrett's just really afraid of commitment.
Truly, yeah. And so he's kind of catering to not his better half. We cut to Emma and her new life in Nebraska, and she's at the university, his new university again, where only bad things happen. And she's like looking for Flap, and she can't find him. And she's like talking to a dean or a coworker or somebody. And there's a woman in the office as well. And Emma clocks that tea immediately. This woman tries to hide her face. She tries to shuffle out. But this is the same student that Flap was flirting with back in Iowa, suddenly here in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And Emma does catch her face and starts to give chase. And she's got baby Melanie with her. Not baby, but like a toddler Melanie in a stroller.
This is the best part of the whole movie. I actually had Brad back it up because I wanted to watch it twice. Okay, now you tell it.
So the camera is like dollying. It's following Emma and baby Melanie in a stroller. And they are giving chase to this woman down a very long hallway. And Emma's like, Miss! And then suddenly you just hear little Melanie go, Miss! And Emma's like, Miss! And Melanie's like, Miss!
It's so cute. So cute.
So cute. So Emma like leaves Melanie at the top of the stairs in the building and then confronts this hussy. She was like, this is why we're in Nebraska, isn't it? This wasn't just a new job. It was because you were coming here too. And she's like, yeah, that's me. So we learned that like, again, Flap is not being totally truthful here. But Emma, she needs to take Melanie to the doctor though. You know, she had that whooping cough, remember? Like it's time for a checkup. So she takes Melanie to the doctor. Melanie checks out. Again, the little girl Melanie's being very cute. She's like she gets a lollipop.
Steals the show.
And Emma's like, well, since I'm here, like I might as well get checked out as well. So he starts checking Emma out, but then he's like in her armpit area and he's like, hey, there's like a lump here. And this is where Carly and I are like, oh, here we go. And so Emma's like, oh, that's weird. That's fine, right? And he was like, I would get that checked out. And so from here on out, the movie kind of moves fairly quickly, I would say. It gets established very quickly that, of course, it is cancer. And the doctors in Nebraska pretty much let her. Aurora flies down, of course. Flap is there. The kids are there. But we learn, like, the prognosis is not good. And they need to start preparing. And she's starting to get sicker. So at this point, she's bedridden. And Aurora has this moment.
Well, they meet with doctors and they confirm that the drugs are not working. So it went from bad to worse, and everyone starts to get hysterical.
Hysterical is a good word, because then we cut to Aurora, and she's like approaching the desk on this floor, and she was like, it's 10 o'clock, it's time for her shot. Who's giving her shot? And then this nurse is like staring blankly. She's like, what? And so Aurora moves on to the next woman she sees, and she's like, hi, hello, like it's 10 o'clock, she needs her shot. And there's like a third person there. She's like, she needs her shot. Will somebody give her a shot? She starts screaming her head off.
Give my daughter the shot! Very, very good scene for Shirley.
Yes. So good. And we see Garrett arrive here. He flies all the way to Nebraska for Aurora, which is very sweet.
I think surprises her. Like, I don't think she knew he was coming. It was very like, oh my gosh, you're here. You can see a sense of like relief and comfort almost fall over the hysterical Aurora at the sight of Jack Nicholson. So Aurora and Garrett, Jack Nicholson, they hug, they have a warm embrace, and they actually, in very much their style, grab each other's butts. And me and Brad were both kind of like, ooh, and Brad said, now that's a term of endearment.
Yeah, that will be in the socials for sure. Yeah, so there starts to be a question about what's going to happen with the kids. And just when you think Flap couldn't get any lower, you know, he heads into the hospital room to talk to Emma, and he's basically making it clear that he's not very excited about the idea of taking all 3 kids. And Emma pretty much straight up is like, I don't want you to have them.
Yeah.
Don't take them. And she's not saying it in such a cold way. She's kind of got like again, that look of sort of disappointment. Yes, she understands exactly who Flap is. And she was like, I don't want you to have to raise the kids. Go on and live your life.
And he says, she's like, tell me, Flap, you really want to raise them? And you can see in his face, and he's like, you know, I never thought I'd be the guy to give up his kids. But you could tell in his face and the way he's talking, he does not want to.
No.
He said, I'd probably screw them up.
Yeah, there's a great exchange in the like hospital cafeteria where like Flap has like a full tray of food, multiple different milk cartons on there. And he sits at a table, but like 5 tables over is Aurora eating her food. And she's just staring death glares down at Flap. And he sees her there, so he kind of like, he feels, I think, obligated to go join her, even though, like, Flap, you in danger. And Aurora pretty much sets him straight. She's like, yeah, you turned out exactly who I thought you were going to be. And Emma deserved better. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. One thing I love about Aurora in this sad part of the movie is she slowly gets worse and worse looking. Like, in the whole film, she's very made up with makeup the whole time. She has very nice hair. But you see in this period of time, her gray roots grow out. She does not have any makeup on. And you could just see, like, she, for such a narcissist who has always focused on herself and cared about so much, all of her attention is now on her daughter and planning the next stage. So I really liked that little piece of the movie because, again, you really, you look at her and you're like, wow, she's a mess. And you could just tell in every way of the word, she's a mess. So I liked this conversation between her and Flap. I think it happened right before Flap and Emma talked about the kids. So it was a good precursor to going into that. And Flap just knowing like, yeah, I'm not a good guy. I would mess him up. And that's when Emma was like, I think my mother should take them. And he does not disagree, and I think that's kind of what happens.
Yep, but before she can give the kids to Aurora, she has to say goodbye to them first. Ugh. So Emma pulls the 3 kids in. Well, no, it's just the 2. It's just Tommy and Teddy. And she is saying goodbye. And Tommy, again, is being a little fuck. Like, he's like, head down, not really looking her in the eyes. And little kid Teddy, he's so sad. That boy actor, he was killing it in the scene. He just like was able to keep the tears in his eyes. Like it was
some of the
good.
Best kid acting I've ever seen.
And Tommy is still like struggling with vulnerability here, struggling with saying goodbye. And Emma finally like is like, enough, you know, look at me. She was like, I know that you love me and you're gonna really regret not telling me more that you like loved me. Like even in the times that you were frustrated with me or you thought we had no money or I made you mow the lawn, like you love me, just admit it, like you love me. And he was like, of course I like you. And she was like, no, she's like, you're gonna regret not saying this more. And it kind of hit me as I was thinking about the movie today, actually, and how this movie didn't have a lot of terms of endearment. And I just think it's almost like she's not just saying this to Tommy in the moment, but she's like saying this to her mother. There's so many moments in the movie where they're not really saying I love you to each other. And again, like the things that they're saying maybe sound hurtful or whatever, but that look of disappointment, but also understanding. I think in Emma's mind, when she hears her mom saying these disappointing things, I think in Emma's mind, she's like, but I know you love me. Yeah. I know you still love me. And so that kind of helps connect some dots for me as far as this movie goes and what it was trying to tell us, I think, because we don't really see, you know, mom and daughter gushing over each other saying, I love you, I love you, I love you over and over again. But you know, they love each other, you know, just by watching their scenes together, how they talk and interact and stay with each other, that what she's saying to Tommy, I think also very much applies to her own relationship to her mother.
Yeah. It's like a mirror almost.
Yeah. But Emma's just in a position now to tell Tommy, like, you really should say it more. You should say, I love you more. Yeah. Because I think you'll regret it. And I think it's because she regrets maybe not telling her mom she loves her more.
This scene, and even just you retelling it, was one of the most powerful scenes I've seen, maybe ever. Yeah. Just that conversation, I think, is something anyone who's lost someone, and I'm lucky I haven't had too many huge losses in life, but I think you always sit and regret the things you didn't say or, you know, how you left things off with someone. But this, like, her anticipating that and putting this little, I don't know, what was he, like 11, 12? Like, her just giving him this permission to or I don't even know permission, just her saying, I know you love me, so that he doesn't ever have to question it is such a big thing. And I don't know, this scene between sweet little Teddy crying and this Tommy dialogue was so good. And it did, I will say, we've been tracking it. This is the first time I actually had tears from any of these movies we've watched. Actual tears.
It's true. I bore witness. I did not.
No.
And keep in mind, too, this just popped in my head as well, but Emma also knows what it's like to lose a parent at a very young age. Like, I think she understands what this might look and feel like for them. And especially because they're not going to be raised by their dad either. Like, I think I said it to you, Carly, like, it's kind of brutal. Like, these kids are losing both their parents because their dad just sucks. Emma literally is like, I can't say anymore because I'll just lose it. And Aurora takes them outside, and Tommy has this like sassy little quip, and Aurora, without even thinking, just turns around and slaps Tommy across the face in a much deserved slap. Normally I would not condone this, but it was needed.
It was. And Brad, I think, was like, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Brad was pumped.
She like slaps him twice, and he's like struggling against her, but then it turns into one of those, he just starts crying in her arms. So it does really turn into a sweet moment. It's a quick hospital scene where Flap and Aurora are kind of asleep in the hospital chairs.
Aurora is kind of watching Emma, keeping an eye, and then Emma opens her eyes and looks at Aurora, and they just kind of have this like few second long eye contact, and you just see Emma, she looks horrible, take her last breath, and right away you just know. And the nurse comes in, confirms it. Aurora wakes up Flap, who slept through his wife dying, I guess, and you just kind of know it's happened, and they all start crying.
Then we cut to a funeral scene. It looks very similar to the funeral scene we saw in the beginning when it was Emma's dad, and now it is for Emma.
I don't think Flap is even there, by the way.
No, yeah. But Garrett is there. Garrett is talking to Tommy, and Artie's kind of serving as like a mentor figure for Tommy a little bit. So that's a sweet moment. And an even sweeter moment is the final image of the movie where Aurora is like sitting like on her back steps, and little girl Melanie is there in her little funeral dress. And Aurora's like, come sit closer to grandma, basically. And she's like, no, closer. And then Melanie just ends up like on her lap, and then we fade to black. So yeah, let's talk about it. Carly, would you like to tell the listeners what emoji we did end up picking?
Brad and I thought a lot about the emoji.
Yeah, this was hard.
And we went back and forth. Brad at one point sent me the breastfeeding emoji and said, I think this is...
I thought it was just a mother...
Brad said, wait, I think that might be breastfeeding. And I said, Brad, that's definitely breastfeeding. So we did. We went back and forth on a few different options, but we did end up with the pregnant woman emoji. I think it was very fitting for this film about motherhood, about, women in general, pregnant women, children, etc. So we went with the pregnant woman emoji. And Brad, I would love if you would start and tell us your rating. How many pregnant women are you giving this film?
Well, true to how many times Emma was pregnant in the movie, I'm giving it a 3.
Fair.
I think I said this to you before we watched it, but in my head, it's like, as I approach each movie, they all, by default, start at a 3. And it's a matter of like, do you lose any or do you gain any? And I think for me, this movie kind of stayed exactly where I thought the movie was going to be. It's not to say there weren't a few sort of subversions or surprises on my end. I loved the dialogue in this. The other part of it too, and we didn't really touch on this during the recap, but like to be introduced to so many female characters so quickly in a Best Picture winner, and then like have women together in a scene talking to each other, like this is new territory for us.
We talked about that while we were watching it. We're like, what? Yeah.
And I love too that this didn't become like a very soapy, soap opera-esque mother and daughter just hate each other and get really mad, or it all becomes about the wedding or whatever. Like we really walk through like a lifetime of this mother and daughter, like from start to finish. And I liked that. And I liked that they had their own version of love, their own version of Term of Endearment, where like that title really made me think, because it just didn't, it wasn't like super obvious watching the movie. I'm like, where's the endearment? But it's there. And there's a lot of subtleties in the performances that I really liked. And Shirley MacLaine, to me, like just stole the movie. But the reason why I give it a 3 and not necessarily a 4 or 5, it's a film that like, I don't know if I will naturally feel inclined to watch it again, but I would not shake my head at anybody who says like this is their favorite movie of all time or that they loved it, because I can perfectly understand, because I think it is a great film. It's just not one that I think I naturally gravitate towards, or it's a story that I will be as emotionally invested in as some of the other movies that we had. I'm going with 3. What about you,
I think
Carly?
that's fair. I have been wavering between 3 and 4 the past week since we've watched the movie a week ago. And I think I'm going to give it a 4. I think personally out of 5, it has pretty much everything I love about a movie. You know, it has funny, it has sad, it had good characters, I love anything with like a motherhood piece to it, you know me. But I really liked it. Similar to you, I don't know if it's a movie that I'll be on a Friday night like, oh, I'll watch Terms of Endearment. But certainly if I was, not that we do this often anymore, surfing channels and it was on, I would stop and watch. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it does feel like if you're somebody who is a film fanatic or a film bro, if you will, like I think this is a movie, not that film bros are watching Terms of Endearment, but they should. I think it's one of those movies like, I'm happier to have seen it, but it's not necessarily, I don't feel a strong relationship to the material has been forged, but I appreciate it for what it is.
Totally. And I think, as you said, I like the idea of kind of starting at a 3 and seeing where it takes you. And so many times you and I watching it together, we were like, the dialogue in this movie is so good. I would love to go through and just pick, I'm sure you could find good quotes from Terms of Endearment. And I think if reading, you haven't watched it and you just read through the quotes, I think even you would be like, oh my God, that's powerful. Because there were a lot that we didn't quote in this even that were just good lines. So for sure. I think it brought it up a little bit for me, and I did. I really liked it. It was funny and sad, and I think that's hard to do all the time.
I think that makes perfect sense, and I like to guess what I think your rating's going to be, and I was like, I think it's going to be a 4. I think the child actors are going to give it a bump. I think the mother-daughter of it all is going to give it a bump, and you probably loved the musical score of this movie. I did not. I don't know how to describe it either. It's just kind of like, it's this weird sort of piano tune. It feels very like after school special.
You said it sounds Lifetime movie-ish.
So we'll see if it won an Oscar for the best score, but I did not like it.
So let's talk about who this is for. I can go first since you rated first. Is it for the girlies? It is most definitely for the girlies. I gave Platoon 2 thumbs down, and I could almost see giving this movie 2 thumbs up, because I do. I think it's such a good film. While we all don't have this relationship with our mother in so many ways, it is. Breast cancer is a very relatable thing for not all good reasons, but it's something that as women we have to think about a lot. I think the motherhood aspect of this was very strong. I think just the strong female characters between Shirley and Emma, Deborah Winger, were very good as well. And Melanie, what a strong little toddler. Loved her.
I am going to agree with you. I do think Terms of Endearment is for the gays. I think this does not present as like an overly masculine feature to me. I do think there is a lot to love with Shirley MacLaine in particular. I can just see the gays really snapping their fingers to her character and her one-liners and her quips and just her general attitude and the way that she is free to speak her mind and live her truth and be her authentic self. I think any gay person can relate to that.
Plus Jack Nicholson's chest hair.
Yeah, I was into it. I was into it. Thank you, Jack, for that. I appreciate it. Okay, well, let's talk about possibly where we rank this. My instinct is to put it in the C tier, where we currently have Oliver, and I would like to put it above Oliver. Is my first gut impression. I'm curious, Carly, what do you think? Where's your gut telling you?
I didn't really think too much about this, and I wish I would have before this, because my first instinct is it doesn't belong with Oliver, but we're not categorizing it as Oliver equivalent. We're categorizing it as a C movie. I would say my first instinct was B, Below the Apartment, because I do think this is a better movie in a lot of, not a lot of ways, but in some ways than The Apartment. So I could see it being B, Below the Apartment, or C, Above Oliver, which I realize are kind of similar. So I think...
Right, yeah, it stays in the same place.
It stays in the same place in our ranking. So if you're feeling C above Oliver, I'm comfortable doing that. And of course, I think as our C bracket and B bracket fill out more, we might get a better idea and I might be more comfortable with it, but I'm cool with it in C for now.
Okay, I've changed my mind. I want to put it in B.
Are you sure, Brad? I don't want to talk you into that.
I agree, because I do think, even though, yes, we're ranking them separately, like, I do think where you put it, you can't help but compare it to what other movies are in there as well. So I do think by putting it in C, we are making a statement about like Oliver and In Terms of Endearment are in a similar category of movies together. And I would agree. I think it probably belongs in, I feel like it fits naturally better with The Apartment than it does with Oliver. Yeah. But I don't want to put it above The Apartment. I agree. I do just have such a soft spot for The Apartment still.
I ended The Apartment wanting to watch it again soon. Yeah. And I didn't feel the same way of this. I would watch it again, but not the same. I appreciate you conceding, although I didn't want to talk you into it because I could have seen either, but I like where it is in B. I'm a fan of it being in a B.
I do agree.
Thanks.
So that was just my initial gut impression, and you got me over the line.
Thanks, Brad. I love you.
Love you. We're just thinking how like, we end this podcast by saying that, but in this movie, they would never, they would never do that.
We have more terms of endearment in our hour-long podcast than literally they did in that one. But
should end it with like, and I know you love me, Carly.
You look good. Well, you look terrible. Bye.
All right. Well, let's talk about these Oscars. Let's talk about this year's Academy Awards. Again, this was the 56th. It was hosted by Johnny Carson, and this was his 5th time being a host. Johnny Carson, known with the moniker of being the king of late night. He is a prolific sort of late night host. The presenter of the Best Picture winner is Frank Capra, who we will talk about one day because he is the director of 2 Best Picture winners from the 1930s.
Wow.
I think this was a nice way to honor him here in the 80s. He certainly had a lot of fun up there presenting this award and took his time opening that envelope. And let's talk about this lesser half. Let's talk about these other nominees.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, let me just read the titles off quickly, because for some reason they all kind of sound like the same movie. So we have The Big Chill, we have The Dresser, we have The Right Stuff, and then a movie called Tender Mercies, which that one maybe doesn't sound like the rest, but...
That's it?
I'm like, the Dresser, The Right Stuff, like what kind of... I feel like the Terms of Endearment had an easy victory
for
here.
Sure.
But the Big Chill had 3 nominations tonight, but didn't win in any categories. Carly, you maybe would find this interesting. The plot focuses on a group of baby boomers who attended the University of Michigan.
Boo!
But this movie partly inspired a series that you and I both watched, Carly, and I'm honestly surprised I did watch, but A Million Little Things, about a group of friends coming together, reuniting when one of their friends had tragically passed.
I read, I think Tom Berenger's in this film?
Yes, okay. He is.
He was in that one. He was in Platoon? Yeah.
In Platoon. Sergeant Barnes.
That's right.
Glenn Close is in it, Jeff Goldblum, William Hurt. Well, but it did not win anything.
Sorry, Big Chill.
So the next one, The Dresser. The Dresser had 5 nominations this night, also 0 wins. Again, I think this was a pretty dominant night for terms. And I don't know much about The Dresser, but when I look at the movie poster, it is entirely made out of like an essay of words. Like I've never seen so many paragraphs of words on a movie poster in my life. I can't think of any reason why I would look at this movie poster and think, I want to watch this movie. Like, it looks like, sorry to The Dresser, but you look like the most boring film of all time. I don't know if you're seeing this, Carly,
I just looked.
Like, oofda.
And yeah, I don't get it.
Doesn't really star anybody that I know. It's a British drama film, and I'm happy never to think about it ever again.
It's funny. I look up The Dresser 1983, and I get a lot of pictures of the front, but then I also get an image search dressers. Just furniture dressers from 1983. So
our next film is The Right Stuff. This is probably like the second winner of the night. It has 8 nominations and 4 wins. This one's like a historical drama where some Air Force pilots are chosen to become astronauts and go into space. And so I believe this movie, while I've never heard of it, I do believe it is, like, people know about it. Has some folks that I'm familiar with: Scott Glenn, Ed Harris, Dennis Quaid, Veronica Cartwright. I know. So yeah. So congrats to The Right Stuff. Second place, hell yeah.
Second place, hell yeah.
And then Tender Mercies had 5 nominations and 2 wins. It's a fiction film where the main character's name is Mac Sledge, and he's a country singer.
What?
So we'll have Carly dig into that one as a country music lover. Definitely not a movie I will ever watch, ever, not on purpose.
Wow. Because it's country music.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, his name is Mac Sledge. So for Terms of Endearment, they had 11 nominations, and they win in 5, or they take home 5 Oscars. They win, of course, in Best Picture, Best Directing for James L. Brooks. There's 2 nominations in the actress lead category, so both Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger are nominated.
Very cool.
And Shirley wins. Deborah does not.
Rightfully so.
Shirley MacLaine takes it home. And then there are 2 nominations in the actor supporting category. Both Jack Nicholson and John Lithgow are nominated, but it's Jack Nicholson that takes home the Oscar dub, rightfully so. I was like, John Lithgow made it? I couldn't believe.
Right.
It wins in Best Writing, Screenplay Adapted. This was based off of a book, this movie was. It does not win in music, so they agreed. The score sucked. And it does not win in sound, art direction, or in editing. So it really just wins in those really big categories, the acting, the directing, the best picture. So also this year, other movies that were in the mix, in the Oscars mix, Star Wars, Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Never heard of it.
Big year. That's not true, Carly. I read you the Wikipedia synopsis of this movie. We basically started this podcast years ago on a long car ride where Carly was driving, of course. And
we said, what will we do for 14 hours? And Brad said, I can read you the Wikipedia pages of all the Star Wars movies. And I said, okay.
And I did.
And it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I had her hooked. So other movies in the mix, Yentl, Flashdance. James L. Brooks is the 3rd person ever to, as a writer, director, producer, to win 3 Oscars for the same movie in one night. Because he did it all. He wrote this, he directed this, and he produced it. And he basically won Oscars for all 3 of those roles he played. So,
okay, go off.
Congrats to James L. Brooks. An actor, Linda Hunt, she becomes the only Oscar winner for playing a character of the complete opposite sex.
Yes, queen.
And then Irene Cara is the first Black woman to win in a non-acting category. So congrats to her.
Lots of big wins.
And this year's Oscars was 3 hours and 45 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
And it was hated for that reason. People did not like this year's broadcast of the Oscars for how long it was. So really quickly, just a director spotlight here on James L. Brooks. But he's been in the industry for a long time, but he helped co-create the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And he's also one of the creators, developers of The Simpsons.
Cool.
Which is still on to this day, 36 seasons.
Wow.
So I don't know what his level of involvement is at this point, but he also helped write like The Simpsons movie. So just imagine that. The writer of Terms of Endearment wrote The Simpsons
movie. Brought his
movie.
talents to The Simpsons. Very cool.
He was really worried though when he won these Oscars and Terms of Endearment was such a big success. He was really worried about being deprived of a low profile. He said he never wants to be someone who's too self-aware of their own career. And so he prefers to keep a lower profile.
You're doing a great job because I've never heard of him.
Yeah. I did think his name was familiar. I was like, why do I know that? And it's because like, oh, The Simpsons. I definitely grew up watching The Simpsons a lot. I own many of those DVDs. So.
Wow, you win The Simpsons.
And then lastly, James is a fan of the LA Clippers, which I assume is a sports team. I just put that in there for Carly's sake. Because I figured she would care.
Thanks, Brad. They are a basketball team in LA.
Wait, what about the Lakers, though? There's 2 LA teams?
Famously. There's 2 Chicago baseball teams.
Oh, wow.
It happens.
I learn something new every day. Well, Carly, tell me about some of these actors, some of these big names.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of digging just on the film in general and just kind of some unique things. So it's one of only 5 films ever to have 2 Best Actress nominees. So, which was cool. And interestingly, one of the other 5 also involves Shirley MacLaine. So she's just the queen of the actresses at this point. She is everywhere all the time. Shirley MacLaine in The Turning Point was also nominated along with her co-star. And we will talk about another movie where there were 2 Best Actress nominees, All About Eve. We talked about this a little bit after we watched the movie. There is a sequel to this movie called The Evening Star. It does have Shirley MacLaine and Jack Nicholson, but it is notoriously known as one of the worst sequels of all time.
I believe it.
And that's pretty much it, general movie. There is like you said, it is an adapted screenplay based on a 1975 novel of the same name. The only thing as I read through the novel synopsis, the only big difference was her best friend Patsy and Flap have a big affair throughout the whole thing. Rather than a student where he works, it's Patsy. So interesting.
Yeah, I wonder how that would have changed some of the dynamics of the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so then looking at the actors, Deborah Winger, notoriously hard to work with from what I read. Not an easy... Yeah,
Deborah.
This whole film kind of had a lot of hard actors to work with. So interesting between Deborah, Shirley, and Jack. They all never really totally got along, but there's also quotes that the director wanted it to be that way to kind of contribute to the general feeling and true nature of their relationships in the film. Deborah Winger, we love her because she is a Clevelander, born in Cleveland,
No
Ohio, baby. So that's, I know, I think it's going to come up a lot because a lot of big people are from here. She was in a lot from the 70s to the 80s and then really dropped off from films and from acting.
Yeah.
And so much so that in 2002, a documentary came out titled Searching for Deborah Winger.
She's missing?
So I was like, wait, what? I pictured like, yeah, she's missing and they're looking for her. But it's basically a documentary about the difficulties of Hollywood for women centered around sexism and ageism, which I know is still to this day a big thing. 23 years after that was even made. So that was an interesting thing. But then she did really come back right after that, actually. In like 2003, she really came back. She's been in a lot of movies and things. Recently, she was in a episode of Accused. I don't know if you've ever watched Accused, but it's like all individual episodes of like crime/court scenes. So she was in one of those. And she has a starring role on the recent Netflix series The Ranch, where she plays Ashton Kutcher's mom. I don't think it's series on anymore, but she was in like 52 episodes, so she was in all of that. She's actually on the title picture, so big person. Looking at Shirley MacLaine again.
Brother of Rumtha.
Yeah, Brother of Rumtha. We were halfway through the movie, and I was like, oh my God, Brad, I can't believe we're watching the Brother of Rumtha.
Sleep with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
In the amount of time since we watched this movie, I actually have been watching Downton Abbey, and I did see our girl Shirley MacLaine in that TV show, so I sent Brad a picture of that, so it was nice to see her. And yet another thing. Okay, 2 other fun things I found about Shirley. So I talked about her writing books. She's written 15 books, actually, which is a lot of books.
Oh my God.
And this was my favorite thing. I know, someday, Brad, someday. This is my favorite thing I read about her. She has a daughter named Sachi Parker. It's her only daughter, her only kid. And Sachi also is an author and wrote a book.
Oh
Just
my
listen
God.
to this, listen to this. Her book is entitled Lucky Me, My Life With and Without My Mom. It's a memoir about her life where her mom they do not have a good relationship. She is not close with her mom. Shirley has very publicly said that a lot of what's in the book is a lie. So take that for what you will.
Juicy.
Yeah, so Sachi, not a big fan of Shirley. Jack Nicholson holds the record for most male actor nominees in the history of the Academy Awards.
Yeah, I know we're going to see him again in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't know if he's in anymore, if we've started a Jack Nicholson trilogy, but...
Right.
And of course, I'm a big fan of him from Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Terms of Endearment was a few years later from that memorable performance.
The iconic scene of him putting his head through the door is really what I think about him first. I would be interested, if you're listening, what film, kind of like with Morgan Freeman, he's in so much, like what is the film you think of when you think Jack Nicholson? And
you're so
I think The Shining is probably what a lot of people will say, or The Bucket List was a big one.
Bucket List. I can see people going for I think it was 1989 Batman.
Oh yeah,
where he plays the Joker. I can picture him in Anger Management just because I can see that film cover so clearly in my head of him and Adam Sandler yelling at each other.
Yes.
So big fan. I'm glad he's still alive.
Yeah, 88.
Hang in there, Jack.
Yes. He has presented Best Picture at the Oscars 8 times. So out of 97, he's done it 8 times. So that's a lot of the times. Definitely the most.
So we're going to hear his voice a lot.
Yes, I was thinking that. I'm surprised we haven't heard it yet. He's also one of 2 actors or actresses to be nominated for Oscars in 5 different decades. From the 60s to the 2000s, he was nominated in each of those decades. So, interesting.
Yeah, he really is like, and this is how I feel like the Oscars are traditionally with their voting structure and things. Like, it's like, once you're in, it's kind of like you're in, and you kind of keep getting nominated, and it's hard when you're on the out, like if you're a Leonardo DiCaprio, to like get in, whereas like some people somehow strike gold, and then it becomes really easy to nominate them.
Yeah.
Year after
you almost
year,
associate them with the Oscars at a point. You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of that, he's been in 10 films nominated for Best Picture. So that's a lot of films that he's been involved with, nominated for Best Picture. So he's all over the place, and good for him. He, like I said, he's 88. The last acting credit he has was in 2010. So now, this being 2025, it's been about 15 years, and I hope he's just enjoying life at this point with his 6 children from 5 different women.
God, that's a lot
That's a lot of women.
That's a lot of Tommies.
So yeah, that's Jack Nicholson. I'm sure we will talk about him again, so I don't want to go too in depth. The only other adult actor I looked into a little bit was John Lithgow. Important thing about this was, I guess the actor that originally played this role was fired a lot of the way into filming this movie. So they had to refilm almost all of the films with him in it. And you can kind of see, and they said they did it within like 3 days, which, I mean, he's not in a lot of the movie, and most of the scenes you could easily do within a couple of days of filming. So
yeah, I just realized too, I never even in the recap explained what happened to him, but basically like when they go to move to Nebraska, she just says goodbye to him and gives him, he's like, well, can I have a photo of you? And she just hands him a wallet-sized photo of her and her whole family.
She's like, well, my husband and kids are in it. He's like, that's okay. So we get yet another picture of a woman in a film.
Men love those. They just love a wallet-sized photo or a painting of a woman.
And then you had said, and I had planned to do this because I'm a fan of young children. I think they were really good children actors. You said you should look into the children actors. So 3 children. Yeah. Huckleberry Fox plays, or let's start with the oldest. So Troy Bishop plays Tommy.
Okay.
Troy Bishop we like because he's from Ohio. He's from Warren, Ohio.
Oh my, Warren, Ohio? I've never been there.
Never heard of it.
Just kidding.
So Warren, Ohio, in the Akron-ish Youngstown area. So he's also an Northeast Ohioan. He's actually in a lot of very small roles through 2012. Let me tell you the names of some of his more notable roles, okay?
Okay.
Bartender, broker, douche, delivery man number 1, expelled teen number 2, and college dude. So some pretty notable roles.
God, I would kill to be bartender.
I'd kill to be expelled teen number 2. It was just so funny reading through his IMDb because he is in a lot, and a lot of them are like well-known films. Like I think I told you, I was like, you actually have seen one of these and like them.
That's right.
And expelled teen number 2 was from Scream.
Okay. This must be right when, spoiler alert, when the principal dies. Okay, I think I know exactly what scene he would be in.
Wow.
Like I could go see him right now. I love Scream. Can't wait when we get to that one.
Yeah, maybe someday. Things like, what is it? The Bee in Apartment 23. Like there's a lot of, it was a lot of movies that you've seen, but again, his roles didn't even get a real name. They just get titles. So, big actor. So Huckleberry Fox played Teddy, my favorite in the film. He had such a good Huckleberry Fox. Brad cannot stand that name.
I Huckleberry Fox. That's unreal.
I think it's a cute name. I would not do it because I'm never going to have sons, but he also was in about 15 years worth of movies when he was a child, but then he just stopped, never really made a career out of it, and he died last year in 2024.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we're sad about Huckleberry. He was only 50, so it seems like it was cancer, just like his mother.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. And then lastly, Megan Morris plays the unbelievable Melanie.
You're like ready to steal that child.
Oh my God, I would. She was really cute. I'm telling you, the miss, that scene was so cute. You guys have to go watch it. She was in this movie in 1983, one more movie in 1988, and that's it. So just a little child actor that did a couple roles to pay the bills.
A queen. She shows up, gets the work done, and then she bounces. She's like, I don't need to make this. I make a career out of this.
Amen. She was a strong female character and one Oscar winner, and that's all she needed. She's set for life.
Love it.
Yeah, and that's really all I found, Brad. Thank you for asking. And it was a good film. Good one.
Yeah, no, I liked it despite the fact that it's another woman dying. Like, the movie just handles it in a really sensitive and careful and intentional manner. So I just appreciate the film. So, and appreciate seeing so many women, even though like it is written by a man and directed by a man. It's like, that's what these female stories, that's how they won. They just needed to be helmed by a man. And so we're still waiting for the day when a woman can direct a woman's picture and take home the gold. So
someday.
Maybe it'll be our next movie. Let's do a little drum roll.
Our next movie is
Parasite.
I don't know about the strong female leads in that movie, but I hear it's a really good movie. And against what Bradley will tell you, I do not mind movies with subtitles. So
she hates them. No. She's livid. Her eyes twitching right now.
Brad made up this thing about me that I don't like movies with subtitles, but I watch everything with subtitles, actually. Yeah, so I'm excited to watch it. I know it's a big, very well-liked film. It's a very recent film, which we have not... It's the most recent we've done, so I'm very excited.
2019, and this is also the first movie where I've seen it already, and Carly hasn't. So this is the first one we're approaching where I can talk about my experience watching this movie.
Yeah.
In real time, because I did go to the theaters to see this one. So, yeah, I'm excited to jump into a new decade for us. Our newest movie yet, and a movie that I've already seen. I think it's gonna be fun. So
yeah.
All right. Well, if you have a minute, please leave us a rating or a comment on any platform in which you are listening to us. And really, we've gotten a lot of such positive feedback from friends and family about our podcast. And to all of you, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. For as much as we joke, like we don't care what you take from this podcast, which is still kind of true. We do appreciate any one person finding any ounce of joy from listening to it. So thank you. And thank you, Carly.
Thank you, Brad. I love you a lot.
I know you love me a lot.
You look awful.
Yeah. Don't get married to a man named Flap.
Okay,
Don't become Mrs. Flap.
I will never. But for real, Brad, I love you.
Yeah. I love you too, Carly.
Bye.